Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us for tonight's episode of Beyond the Ballot. I'm Brady Meyer. It's good to have you all with me today. We're going to bring you my interview with 38th State Senate District candidate Sara Cambensy. But first, let's take a look at some of today's top headlines in politics from DC to the UP, starting on the national stage, where last night President Donald Trump announced a 2-week ceasefire in the Iran war. That just hours before his deadline to escalate the conflict. Trump said the agreement is contingent on Iran opening the Strait of Hormuz. He posted the ceasefire to Truth Social less than 2 hours before a deadline in which he threatened to destroy a, quote, whole civilization. The president says he has received a 10-point proposal from Iran and will continue negotiations, but Iran is already claiming victory, saying it forced the U.S. to accept that plan. And oil markets are already seeing some relief following that ceasefire agreement. West Texas Intermediate crude is trading below $100 a barrel as of this morning. That's an improvement over yesterday when the U.S. benchmark topped 116. But WTI is still well above the pre-war price. And as far as what this means for your wallet, AAA says regular unleaded gas is averaging $4.16 a gallon. Well, yesterday was election day in Wisconsin. Judge Chris Taylor won the race for the state's Supreme Court. And while this race is technically nonpartisan, Taylor is the liberal-backed candidate. Maria Lazar was the conservative-backed candidate. The court is currently under a liberal majority, and that will not change with last night's outcome. The win will, however, strengthen that advantage from 4-3 to 5-2. Now, with 99% of the vote reported, Taylor has just over 60% of the vote. Lazar has just under 40%. Now moving to Upper Michigan, the Delta County Planning Commission approved a moratorium draft on data center development Monday night. The commission chair, Amy Berglund, says it would pause data center development for up to 12 months. The proposal would move on to legal counsel for review. The review will also clarify coverage since the commission is in charge of zoning for 9 townships. Berglund says although some cities in the county have their own zoning rules, she still encourages residents to share their thoughts.
There's a lot of impacts to communities. There's some that say that there's benefits to it as well, and so we want to flesh that out. We want to hear from them.
Meanwhile, Berglund says the commission will invite experts to explain the pros and cons of data centers in the future. Well, over the past few episodes of Beyond the Ballot, we've been hearing from candidates in the race for Michigan's 38th State Senate District. Again, that district is made up of almost all of the UP except for a small chunk of the eastern counties. Now, again, here's a look at the field of candidates vying for that position. I've shown you this graphic over the last couple of episodes. In the Democratic primary, Kelly Vangenhoven and Chris Mapps are seeking the nomination. Both of those interviews are available right now on demand on our website and TV6 Plus. Bo LaFave, who I talked with last week, as well as Dave Preston, are running in the Republican primary, and Sara Cambensy, a former Democrat who is the most recent candidate to enter the race, is running as an independent. And that leads me to today's guest. Yesterday, I had a chance to sit down with Sara Cambensy to discuss her campaign. We touched on a lot of different topics, including her time in the state house, representing the 109th district, as well as her decision to run as an independent this time around. Here's our conversation. I'm joined here today by Sara Cambensy, candidate for Michigan's 38th State Senate District, coming up in the fall. Thank you for joining me today. It's good to have you with me.
Yeah, thanks.
So I've been starting off all my candidate interviews in a very similar way, and that is to just ask, who is Sara Cambensy?
So born and raised right here in the UP. I started in local government, so I got my start on the Marquette City Planning Commission, elected to the Charter Commission, moved up to the City Commission, and then decided to run for the State House seat. And I served 3 terms before I got termed out there, and now I'm looking to go back and hopefully continue some of that work I was doing.
So you were down in Lansing for 6 years, and before that, up in Marquette, serving in different local government positions. Tell me a little bit about your experiences in those various roles and how they prepare you for the state Senate and make you the most qualified person to be in that position.
I think what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing from a lot of people is they just simply can't afford to live right now. Whether you're a retiree and you were planning on your money lasting you well into your future, they're having to dip in more and more to make ends meet. You have parents that are raising kids who can't find that good job to stay in the UP. They can't buy a house. Housing is just simply unaffordable. So you're having that setback with parents having to dip into their savings accounts to help their kids get a head start. And of course you have the generation like my nephews who feel like the future just is not that great for them. So the economy, the jobs that they're finding, they're having to work 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. And they don't know if they can stay here and raise a family and have the same experience their parents and grandparents did. So it's that affordability piece, and it starts at the local level with local government and state officials getting serious about making sure that the money flows back to our local government so that our local government officials aren't raising the rates on water, sewer, electricity, the things that really hit their pocketbooks.
When you were in Lansing a couple of years ago, what types of things were you able to help get passed that addressed some of these affordability issues or challenges that people up here in the UP are facing?
I think the one I'm most proud of was my insulin bill. And this was a bill that really looked at the affordability when you have medicine that almost 10% of people in Michigan need. And the price just was astronomical. It was about $500 to $600 just for the insulin, not the other medical equipment you need per 3 months. And people were rationing, people were going without, and there were a lot of deaths starting to pop up for people that couldn't afford insurance but needed this medicine. So a bunch of other states had a similar bill, and we just started pushing to put a cap on that price. And what happened was it got so much momentum at the federal level, right? So now we're pushing up on the federal officials to pay attention to this. And there were about 20 states that had passed bills, and some of our federal congressional members started looking at passing bills, and we got those pharmaceutical companies to actually come down and for the first time ever create a generic. So now instead of the $500 or $600 a month, you're looking at $120. And you know, that's just a great example of maybe it didn't happen at the state level. My bill didn't get passed for various reasons, but we were able collectively across the nation to push up on our federal counterparts and get something done for the people so they could afford it.
So now it's been, I believe, a little more than 3 years since you were down in Lansing. So, well, first of all, what have you been up to in that time? And how have you, in that time, been able to kind of keep tabs on the people of Upper Michigan and the issues that they continue to face?
Yeah, so, you know, right off the bat, I went and I actually ran an association of chemical manufacturers. We also had some semiconductor manufacturers, small energy companies, small businesses that was directly under the Michigan manufacturers that, you know, looked at how do we keep those large-scale employers, just like we have with Cleveland Cliffs, Billerud, some of the other ones in the UP, how do we keep them in our communities and in our state so that they don't leave? After that, I did a brief stint up at Michigan Tech and also worked with the Speaker of the House, Republican Speaker of the House, to work on some UP issues and, you know, kind of bring me back into the fold of really what the hot button issues are up here. And then recently I just took a job consulting for the operating engineers. That is the union that works on all of our big infrastructure, all of our roads, bridges, things like that.
You were, before you had run as a Democrat and now you're running as an independent. Just tell me a little bit about that decision and why you decided to run as an independent this time around.
Yeah, so I did apply for a job with the Michigan Senate Dems, and I received an email back that said, we're looking for someone more aligned with our values and good luck with your career. So that kind of gave me the, you know, the indication that maybe I wasn't really aligned anymore with the direction of the party. I think those people that followed me know that I always vote my district. Had no problem voting against my party, especially if it was, you know, something downstate that didn't align with our needs up here. So Having worked with Republicans, having those good relationships, putting party aside, I think it's time. And I think the response has been overwhelmingly positive. Dems and Republicans are coming together, coming to me and saying, thank you for doing this. We need a reset because we're too busy fighting each other and not working on the issues that people want us to solve for them.
And so you had mentioned you had worked with like the Republican speaker, and just kind of tell me a little bit about your experiences, I guess, working across the aisle and how you believe that will continue to be something that you're able to do in Lansing if you were to get elected in November.
Yeah. So when I went to Lansing, especially coming from local government where I didn't have to choose a party, it was just natural to work with whoever had the best idea, whether it was a Dem, Republican, didn't matter. And what that allowed me to do coming from local government was simply pick up a good idea, work on a bill package together. So the speaker and I actually worked on 3 bill packages together, 3 bills that I had passed and he had passed as well. And it set forth, I guess, in my mind, how best it's done. I think I still hear from a lot of people, they love how I worked with Senator McBroom. I shared Luce County with Senator Schmidt. And when I look back on our track record of what we brought home to the UP and the issues that we were able to solve, it's a great feeling, and that's what the job should be. So I'm looking forward to carrying that tradition forward of not playing party politics, but really putting the people first.
So you are the most recent candidate to enter into this race. Some of the other folks who are in have been, their campaigns launched last year. So I guess what are you doing between now and Election Day just to get out and make sure voters know who you are and what your platform is?
Yeah, so when you run as an independent, you have to go out and get petition signatures. So I need 1,500 to 3,000 petition signatures. So that is front and foremost. So we're getting volunteers. We're actually going out door knocking and introducing myself and getting to know each other. So as a Democrat or Republican, you just write a $100 check. It's pretty easy. You're on the ballot. For me, I actually have to go out and work, get those signatures, make my case, and bring them down to Lansing to get certified. So I'm in that process, as well as just going to events and making sure that people see my face and know what I'm running on.
You did touch on this a little bit earlier when you had mentioned that people in the UP are just facing affordability issues right now. What are the other issues that are important to you or that you've heard voters express that are important to them that they want to see their next senator address down in Lansing?
Yeah, I think it all comes from their electric bills, right? Their water and sewer bills. Public schools, they're being asked to pass millages because our schools can't survive because Lansing and Washington are not sending enough of those federal taxes back to the state like we used to. So, I think the biggest thing for affordability, you got healthcare in there as well, but we need to push up. As state legislators, we need to push up on our federal counterparts and make them actually come up with plans that are impacting month by month people's pocketbooks. Some of these we can't solve at the state level, but like I said, when you look at the people who kind of sit above all the politicians, they dictate the work that we want done. And I think that work is simply providing relief, rebuilding our roads, getting car insurance under control, things that we actually either directly at the state level or by working with our federal counterparts can do for them.
That is just about all the questions I had for you. Before we wrap this up, I just want to give you one last chance to say anything that you hope voters keep in mind between now and Election Day.
Yeah, I think it's time that we need a reset. And when I get asked why are you running as an independent, I think it's that desire to really go out and do the work of the people. I think I want to go out and let people see that it's not my agenda. It's not a special interest why I'm running. I'm not there to do anything other than the work that they direct me to do. So, with that, I look forward to this campaign race. It's actually a lot more fun when you aren't tied to a party because you're free to kind of talk to whoever about whatever issue that is important to them. And there's just a real, genuine interest in, I guess, starting to get stuff done for once.
All right. Well, Sara, again, thank you for joining me today. That's all I got for you. So I appreciate you taking some time to talk.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, that again was Sara Cambensy. Thank you to her for taking the time talking with me yesterday about her campaign. Now, I should mention you've gotten a chance to hear from 4 of the 5 candidates in the mix for the 38th State Senate District. I'm still working on getting Representative Dave Preston on the show. I have emailed him a few times. I haven't heard back yet, but hopefully we will be able to connect and get an interview to you all soon. So you've had the chance to hear from everyone in this race, and we can kind of wrap up this section of the show. Now, as a quick programming note, I am off this Friday, and on next Monday, I'll be working ahead of getting a few episodes, future episodes of the show produced. So there will not be another Beyond the Ballot until next week, Wednesday. With that in mind, I hope you join me all next week, Wednesday. That's April 15th. In the meantime, if you have any questions or general feedback for me, my email is on the bottom of your screen now. As always, I encourage you all to reach out to me with any thoughts. That's all for tonight's episode of Beyond the Ballot. Have a great night.